Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL team preview. We're taking a look at the Tennessee Titans. We're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams to see what we can expect from the Titans this upcoming season.
A lot of the focus this year will be on that quarterback position and Jake Locker to see what he can do and what progressions he has made. A lot of the success and failure this season will fall on the shoulders of Locker, so he's going to have to make those necessary strides in the passing game. We know he's an outstanding athlete, which is why I think Dwell Logan's, the offensive coordinator, should implement a lot more read option. That's when Chris Johnson was at his best, when they had that threat of the running quarterback, so they have to implement that for Jake Locker. As far as him throwing the football, he has to make better decisions with it. He has to be accurate in order for this offense to fully blossom, because there's a lot of weapons at the receiving position and also at the tight end position, so there's no excuses for Locker. Backing him up is Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's nothing more than that, than a backup, so don't look for him to come in and save the day. I think they have to stick with Locker throughout the course of this season. In case he gets injured, then you go to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Otherwise, you stay the course and you sink or swim with number 10. The Titans are fine at the running back position, with Chris Johnson having a bounce-back campaign last season, rushing for over 1,200 yards at 4.5 yards a carry. Johnson still possesses that elite-level speed and a breakaway ability. What they had to do in the offseason was put together a better offensive line in front of him, so that way he can gain more yards, and they really have to improve the passing game. Otherwise, he's going to still find himself running against stacked fronts. Backing him up now is Sean Green. They bring in from the New York Jets via free agency. He's a guy that's a very solid running back. He's more of your short yardage and goal line type of runner, but I wouldn't want to take the football out of Chris Johnson's hands unless he's tired. And if he's tired, yes, you go to Green, but otherwise you keep feed number 28. And they're fine with Quinn Johnson as the lead blocker. He does a great job opening up holes for the running game. I've always been a big fan of the Titans receiving core, and this year is no different. In the second round in the draft, they've added Justin Hunter, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Big fan of his game. Reminds me a lot of A.J. Green. Has that A.J. Green-like ability, that wiry build, but has a lot of speed, straight line, and does a great job in high pointing the football. He's going to instantly help out the offense. To team him up with Kenny Britt and Kendall Wright. Kendall Wright is a guy that had a very solid, productive rookie season last year, and Britt, as talented as he is, he's not dependable. So I would de-emphasize Britt and try to feature Justin Hunter and Kendall Wright, and also have Nate Washington as your third or fourth option to go along with Kevin Walter. And you can't forget about Damian Williams, another guy that doesn't get his just due. He's just a very solid all-around receiver. Now they also get back Mark Mariani. I'm holding out hope that he can come back 100%, because he's a pretty good football player. So I like the receiving core. When we look at the tight end position, bringing in Delaney Walker is going to help open up this offense, because he's a versatile player. He can line up in the backfield as an H-back, or be your standard traditional tight end, or lined up in the slot as a flex player. So they can get creative with their offensive attack. They really need to develop a second guy at the tight end. Will that be Craig Stevens, or will it finally be Taylor Thompson, whom we drafted last season in the 5th round? So when you look at this Titans passing game, the pieces are there. They just need help from the quarterback position, so that way this offense can really start to take off. This is where the Titans got significantly better, and you're going to see improvements along that offense. When you look at this offensive line and you look at the interior, Andy LaVitre was a highly touted free agent prospect they were able to bring in from the Buffalo Bills. Definitely one of the better guards in the league, and they went in the draft and selected one of the best guards in the country in Chance Warmack out of Alabama. Normally, I'm reluctant to take a lineman that high in the draft, but when you look at the skill set of a Chance Warmack, and I understand how guard play is important to not only the running game but also the passing game, and you see him dominate at the SEC level, then you take a guy like Chance Warmack in the top 10. That's where he's worth, and he's going to make that offense better. Now, at the center position, there's going to be a big battle going on between Fernando Velasco and rookie Brian Schwenke, 4th-round pick out of Cal. If they're even at the end of training camp, then you start the rookie and take your lumps early on in the season, because Schwenke is a very good center. On the edges, I think they're fine with Michael Roos, the longtime vet, very good left tackle. And on the right side, Dave Stewart, another guy returning from injury, but very solid when he's out there. And good depth behind him, Mike Otto and also Byron Stingley. And they also have Barry Richardson to provide depth at both tackle spots. You look on the interior, Chris Spencer, Rob Turner are also guys that can provide some quality depth on the interior. In order for the Titans to take significant strides as a defense last year that struggled to stop the run and also stop the pass, they have to do a better job of getting after the quarterback, and they have to slow down the running game. That all falls on the defensive line. You look at guys like Derek Morgan, they drafted in 2010 in the first round to be a difference maker. He's been solid but not spectacular. Same can be said for Cameron Wembley, who came over from the Oakland Raiders in 2012. Solid, not spectacular. Maybe they can get what they need out of LeVar Edwards, who was drafted this year in the 5th round out of LSU, a guy that's looking to get his opportunity as a featured pass rusher, but they have to get some type of production from the defensive end position. Now on the interior, I like what I see. There's talent. Jarrell Casey had a solid year last season. He's one of their more consistent players. Sammy Hill was brought over from the Detroit Lions to provide that interior rush from the defense tackle position. I like the two backups and Mike Martin, second-year guy, and also Carl Klug. If he can get back to what he was a couple of seasons ago, he can definitely bring the pressure from within. So interior, they're fine. Exterior, they got a lot of work to do. I think this is a very strong group of linebackers for the Tennessee Titans. I think they have some of the better linebackers in this conference. Akeem Ayers is a guy that's versatile at the strong side backer position. He's solid in coverage and can also put his hand in the ground and get after the quarterback, so they can get versatile in their packages with a guy like Akeem Ayers. Colin McCarthy is a very good middle linebacker when he's healthy. I had to put that caveat in there because he has struggled with injuries throughout the course of his career. If he's out there, he could definitely get the job done. You have to like what you see out of Zach Brown. Last year, some thought he shouldn't have gone that high. Some thought he should have went higher, but you saw why he was taken in the 2nd round. Speed, athleticism, and made play after play toward the end of the season. I'm expecting big things from him in 2013. The biggest concern I have is the depth behind these guys. Yes, they drafted Xavier Gooden out of Missouri, who's a tremendous run and chase linebacker, but everywhere else there's a question mark, and that's something that's going to have to get answered before this season starts. You can tell the major priorities for the Titans in the offseason: fix the offensive line, address the secondary. The secondary last year gave up almost 250 yards passing a game, and that almost put them dead last in the league. They had to get better. A lot of that can be attributed to the lack of pass rush from the defensive line, but when you look at some of the additions, you have to like what they've done, especially at the safety position. They went out and signed Bernard Pollard from the Baltimore Ravens, a knockout artist. They also went and signed George Wilson, who I think is a very underrated football player from the Buffalo Bills. So they got two strong safeties that can help out in the pass game to go along with Michael Griffin back there, whom is a very good safety. He has to get back to what he was a couple of seasons ago, but still is a very good talent. And keep an eye on Markel Martin, a guy they drafted last year out of Oklahoma State, who missed all of last season on the injury reserve. This is a guy that can play free safety or strong safety, so he gives them that flexibility. At the corner position, they drafted Bleedy Ray Wilson out of UConn, and they're expecting him to step in right away and contribute. And I think he can hold his own at one of the starting cornerback spots if they slide Alteron Werner, who's a solid corner, but I think he's better suited to play the slot. If they can slide him inside and team them up with Jason McCourty, who's their more steady player, I think the secondary would be vastly improved. You also have to factor in guys like Cody Sensabaugh and Khalid Wooten, who was drafted this year out of Nevada. I think both guys can provide good depth at the nickel and dime spots. It seems like the Titans have always had good special teams units, and when you look at kicker Rob Aronis, who's entering his 9th season out of Auburn, he's looking to get better. You look at a guy that's known for being clutch and having great distance on his kicks. He only went 50% on his kicks from 40 to 49 yards, and it's something that has to improve if they're going to win some ball games, because they may not be able to get into the end zone, so they're going to have to take advantage of field goals from longer distances. And when you look at punter Brett Kern, here's a guy that had a very good year, averaging over 47.5 yards a punt, definitely has a booming leg. And the return game is going to be interesting because they still have Mark Mariani, who's going to be returning from a very bad leg injury. And they also have Darius Renard, who stepped in for Mariani after the injury and did very well, returned 2 kicks for touchdowns. So either way, they're going to be fine. I want to see Mariani get back there because he was an outstanding punt returner, but they're safe with Darius Renard returning kicks and or punts. Let's take a look at what the Titans have. Number one, underrated roster talent. When you look at this team, their receiving core, their offensive line, their running backs, even look on defense at the linebacker position. In the secondary, there's a lot of talent. Number two, game breaker at the running back spot. Chris Johnson can take it from 0 to 80 in an instant. And they also have a very solid offensive line with the improvements that they've made. Now let's take a look at what the Titans lack. Quality quarterback play, number one. They have to get consistent from that position. And two, they don't have a reliable pass rush. It's hit or miss. That's something that's going to have to become consistent for these guys to be successful as a defense. And they don't have the luxury of time. A lot of these coaches are feeling the heat. They have to win now. So that luxury of not being able to sit players that may need a little bit more development, they don't have that luxury. They're going to have to win right now in order to save their jobs for next season. Reason for optimism, number one, they rebuilt that offensive line, so that's going to help out the running game and ultimately help out the play action pass. They beefed up the defensive backfield, and they have new offensive weapons, so there's a lot of optimism in 2013 if you're a Titans fan. Cause for concern, you have to just look at that quarterback depth chart. No one back there gives you the confidence that they can lead this team to victory. So there's a problem right there. They just got to find some level of consistency, and they don't have the pass rush. If that pass rush can't get to the quarterback, guess what? The defensive backfield will suffer the same fate that they had last season. The road to the Super Bowl for the Titans goes as follows. Number one, that defensive line has to help out the back seven. The talent lies in the linebacking core and in the secondary. The defensive line has to get pressure on the quarterback. Number two, CJ 2K just needs to be CJ 1500. If he can get what he did last year plus a little bit more, the Titans are going to be fine. And Locker's light has to come on. If that happens, this is a team, like I said before, very talented. They can win a lot of football games. As the Titans finishing third in the AFC South, I still have questions about the quarterback play as well as the defensive line. Can they get pressure? Can they stop the run? But remember, this is a talented team, and they're talented enough to not finish in last place, but not that talented and deep to where they could sit atop the division. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Titan fan forums for always showing football game plan support.